In the Lab, a Texans podcast that takes a different look at things. Drew Dougherty and John Harris have their lab coats and goggles on, and the Bunsen burners burning. Here's Drew.
We got two things today we're going to do. We're going to talk about the matchup with the Patriots, and I'm going to give you a few numbers that we're going to discuss. And the second thing is 2-7 is ugly. 2-7 in November, very ugly. So we're going to find some silver linings because in every cloud there are silver linings and there will be sunshine down the road. So let's begin. 3-7-9, John. Cam Newton this year has thrown 3 touchdowns. That is abysmal.
Wow.
My goodness. 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
He's been picked off 7 times.
Yeah.
7 times. That's a bad ratio. But the Niner in there, he's run for 9 touchdowns.
Yeah.
That's pretty darn impressive. So he's a very odd guy to get prepared for. And then let me hit you with one final set of numbers, 4-4. When he started, the Patriots have gone 4-4. So, you know, they're under 500, but he's only missed a little bit of time. And when he's in there, he gives them the puncher's chance to win. What do you make of Cam Newton in this offense? Is it one of those things where they're finally starting to get going and they're on the uptick? Or is it just something like bouncing around? What do you see this year?
I watched the Sunday night game kind of in a post-operative haze on Monday night, and as I watched that game, I was like, whoa, these guys are physical. And then I'm trying to figure out, like, oh, wait, what number is that guy? Who's that guy? Wait, is that number such and such? Because it's such a different squad. But the one thing that stood out to me was how physical they played on both sides of the ball. I mean, they played the Ravens, and very rarely do you see the Ravens out-physicaled in a game. And I felt like Sunday night, man, the Patriots took it right to them on both sides of the ball. And a lot of that has to do with Cam. You know, Cam does just enough throwing the ball that you do still have to respect it. And he runs it so darn well that you absolutely have to respect it. And I know it's 5 years ago, but just to give you an idea of what you're dealing with Cam, we were playing the Carolina Panthers. It was week 2. We were at their place. It was the year that Cam ended up winning the MVP. And we lost that game, I think, 23-17. We had a couple shots at the end zone at the end, but we couldn't pull it off. And then Cam and I won 15 out of 16 that season. It got to the Super Bowl. Anyways, Cam comes on the field, and our defensive backs were kind of jogging down the field, just getting loose. And Cam comes on the field, and he's got his skull cap on. He's got a Superman, Under Armour Superman shirt that's kind of spandex tight. And he's got his shoes all spatted up. He's got the high tops on. And he's got his music on. I can tell he's got his AirPods on. And he runs by our defensive backs. And our defensive backs just watched him with this look of, holy cow. Like they had never seen him. And so now they're seeing him for the first time, and they're like, oh my God, that dude is huge. And the key is this. For those who are listening and not seeing this on YouTube, those of you listening to the podcast, John just was saying that, and as he's saying what the defensive backs were thinking, John kind of instinctually looked up. Like that's what they were doing. They had to look up at Cam Newton, and most guys do. He looks like a, hulking tight end physically. Yeah, I mean, 6'6", 250. You just look at him and you go, I mean, are you playing the right position? I mean, it's amazing to see him up close. The one thing that really has stood out to me, though, from a throwing perspective is he looks like he's labored when he's throwing. And that was the one thing that I had heard. My family lives in Charlotte, and my brother-in-law is pretty tied in to a lot of different people and different communities up there. And that was kind of the rumor, was that from a throwing perspective, he was probably shot, that he just doesn't really have it anymore. He had just taken so many hits over the years that it really had impacted his passing. And I think you're seeing that. I think that's the reason for the 3 touchdowns and the 7 interceptions. He just kind of looks labored as he's trying to throw, because I think over the years he's probably tried to adapt his throwing motion to deal with all the different injuries and things that he had. So that's part of it. But when he's in there and they're playing physical ball, You know, that game against the Ravens, that was a Damian Harris game. I mean, Cam turned to hand the ball to Damian Harris, and Damian Harris was pounding the rock. And I mean, there were seams, 8 inches wide, and Harris would just burst through them, and he turned that into an 8 to 10 yard gain. And he did that repeatedly. So this is going to be a tough ball game because you know that every single ball carrier for the Patriots is going to see the ball in some different kind of way. And the other aspect of it is, Drew, is Jacoby Myers threw one of the touchdown passes the other night. So the Patriots always pull out a little trick to have when they need a win. And they felt like they needed one the other night. And Jacoby Myers threw a great throw to Rex Burkhead right at the end of the half. And that gave them a huge boost going into the second half to get that win. So, you know, there's a lot with the Patriots that you have to just be alert for. And obviously Cam's running, Damien Harris is running, but they're trick plays. Man, we better be on point or it could be a long day.
Could be. All right, let's talk about some of these silver linings that we mentioned a little earlier. It's tough when you're in this spot. You know, it's not over, but it's rough. We're on the cusp of Thanksgiving and you're 5 games under 500. So what are some things that we've seen this year that we like player-wise?
Yeah.
And I'm going to start. Pharaoh Brown was not really on the mind of anybody in August, September coming in. I mean, the tight end position group you thought was overloaded in training camp because you had the 2 Jordans, Akins and Thomas. You had Darren Fells, who caught 7 touchdowns last year, and you still had Kahale Waring.
Right.
Well, Thomas gets cut because of that glut there, and then Waring goes on IR. So you basically were playing with 2 tight ends, but you need more than 2 tight ends on game day. So the Texans bring in Pharaoh Brown, who'd been with the Raiders, been with the Browns, bounced around, played at Oregon, grew up in Cleveland. Cecil Shorts III knows him pretty well. Pharaoh Brown has been pretty darn productive. He's brought in as a blocking tight end. He caught a touchdown last week in his hometown. He caught that pass before the bomb touchdown the week before in Jacksonville. So he's done some nice things. He's a guy that you could see him maybe sticking around and doing something if the Texans want to do so. And I think that's been one small silver lining. He seems like a guy who can help your offense get better and help your offense win.
When I saw him in college, Drew, he went to Oregon. He was as talented a guy as I can remember seeing at the tight end position. But he had a pretty bad injury, and that really kind of set him back. And
time out. You say pretty bad. They might have had to have amputated his leg.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a weird, there was some stuff going on in Utah when Oregon was playing. So it took a while for him to rehab, and that scared a lot of teams, understandably so. But they pretty bad, and he's only under contract. He's going to be a restricted free agent. But sorry, I interrupted.
But you hit on it. I didn't want to downplay the significance of it because I do think it's part of the reason why it maybe has taken him a little while to stick, that he just might not be all the way back to what he feels like is his normal self. So I think that's going to be something that when you look at this tight end position, it's not as if the Texans have lacked for tight ends in the last how many ever years. I mean, they've gotten really good play out of the tight ends, I think, the last few years. Now, it's not a Kelsey or a George Kittle, but across the board, you've gotten pretty quality play all throughout the position, not just one guy at the position. I would say a silver lining for me, Drew. Now, I felt like early on in the season he was trying to do too much, and I felt like that was kind of showing in his play. But I think once he settled in, he started just doing his job and just reading his keys and not trying to do too much, his play got better, and that's Zach Cunningham.
Mm-hmm.
Zach Cunningham, to me, the last probably 4 or 5 weeks, it hasn't been perfect. He's missed a tackle here or there, but he's in places where you don't even think there's a place. And you see him pop out and make a play, and you're like, whoa, you rewind it. You're like, where did he come from on that? Wait, he came from a totally different angle he was supposed to come from, and he made a tackle. So to me, Zach Cunningham, and I want to say he leads the AFC in tackles. He might lead the NFL in tackles at this point, but he gets to the ball in such a hurry. And I think also to go along with that, Terrell Adams being a guy that
take him. I was going to throw him in. That's a good
one. I
one.
mean, you can speak to that, Drew, but I mean, just from Zach Cunningham and what I think he's done after losing Benardrick McKinney, the guy that's kind of the soul of your defense. to have Zach step up and just start making plays. Once he realized he didn't have to do everything, once he realized that and he just started locking in on his keys and just playing ball, he really, I think, has turned into a really good season in 2020.
Still got 7 games to go, John. He already has 92 tackles. So he and D'Amico Ryans in franchise history have started the season through 9 games with 80 tackles or more in each of their. I mean, he's really something else. But yeah, Ty Adams, that guy, he was always solid and above average on special teams and just couldn't crack into the linebacker rotation because of what McKinney and Cunningham were basically doing. But he got his opportunity and he seized it. He is making the most of it. He's playing pretty well. Kind of comes up with double-digit tackles just about every week. He's always up there at the top of the tackle leaderboard with Cunningham just about every week. He's done a solid job. I've liked what I've seen from him, and maybe we'll see more of him in the years to come. But we're definitely going to see more of you, John, and we'll hopefully see more of you all listening and watching. So thank you very much. This has been In the Lab. And Johnny, I hope you feel a lot better very, very soon.
Thank you, brother.
Done with this surgery. Sound good?
Thanks, brother. Sounds good.
All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.